and there are concerns of instability at the Property Practitioners Regulatory Authority. It's a conversation we've been having for a while now, and that's because the suspension of the CEO Mamodupi Mohlala-Mulaudzi was at the top of the tip of the iceberg. Mohlala-Mulaudzi faces an ongoing investigation after her whistleblowers made allegations against her relating to irregularities about the loss of pension fund payments. The organization is also being called to transform. Let's discuss these issues more with Joseph Sakoneka, who's from the National Property Practitioners Council. Thank you very much for your time this morning. As I mentioned in my intro, Joseph, it's a topic that we've been ventilating for a few months now. You would have seen the different issues that were discussed. Let's start with that big elephant in the room, the chief executive not being given an opportunity to finish her term and initiate whatever the board would like her to do within the organization. Your thoughts on that, as well as the concerns around instability?
Rafia, good morning, and good morning to the viewers at home. It's a privilege to be here, and thank you for the opportunity. So we actually watched the interviews that you've had initially with the other two brothers that were here the other day, and also with Ienza recently, around the instability occasioned by the suspension of the PPRA CEO. And we are of the view that, yes, no CEO has finished their term at the PPRA or the former EAB, but there were reasons for that. And I think what we also need to take into account is the fact that before I became the CEO of the National Property Practitioners Council, I worked at the EAAB for a period of 10 years, and I am still the current principal officer of the pension fund. We agree that there is instability that was occasioned by the suspension, but coupled with that, there is uncertainty now in the industry where the industry is not sure whether they're going or coming.
No, absolutely, and that also relates very closely to issues around transformation. The industry has struggled for a while because there are so many big players that are dominating the market. But before we get to that domination, talk us through transformation and really just giving opportunities to young black property professionals.
Thank you very much. You're quite right. If you look at the annual report that was already audited as at the end of March 2021, there's only about 25% of black practitioners, and this is out of over 40,000 practitioners in the entire South Africa. And when we say black, we mean black African, coloreds and Indians. That whole grouping comprises only a mere 25%. Now, in terms of creating opportunities in the industry, there's a huge opportunity now, particularly following the enactment of the Property Practitioners Act, where a whole chapter, Chapter 4, has been dedicated to transformation. This is unprecedented because there was no chapter in the previous Estate Agency Affairs Act dedicated specifically to transformation. But what we have seen is the instability coming from the PPRA side of things has actually not boded well in terms of, enabling collaboration between the sector and the regulator to create those opportunities for young people to join the sector. Because you must understand that transformation is a very expensive, program that you cannot just pay lip service to. You really need to put money behind it. Now we have an act that has defined a legislative framework within which transformation must take place. There is a property sector transformation fund that the PPRA has to set up within 6 months. And they're actually against time because they've got 6 months from the 1st of February to set up that fund. We're not even sure as to whether that fund has been set up. And if we don't actually get to a point where the fund has been set up, then it means that will then create another barrier for the young people to actually join the sector. So as you pointed out that there is lack of transformation, for transformation to happen, you need to empower the existing property practitioners by exposing them to entrepreneurship program, because the small black companies are there, but they're just not growing.
No, absolutely. Then we have to bring in ministerial intervention here. The various issues that you've just put on the table need some government assistance, and especially when you talk about the fund and the opportunities that that would unlock. Have you engaged the department at all, the minister maybe directly, any of the bodies within the property space to speak about the different issues, but also to get clarity on issues around this particular fund and its initiation?
Professor, thank you so much. Yes, we have engaged the ministry, and we have seen our colleague from IENSA that they were calling for the ministerial intervention. We don't believe as an NPPC that the minister still needs to intervene on this matter, because she has appointed a competent board that can actually tackle issues such as this. And we would have seen in our article that we've applauded the board for having suspended the CEO. That is actually a step in the right direction. So we believe that these investigations that are currently underway will actually yield the results that we're looking forward to, where either the CEO will be cleared or a new credible chief executive officer will be appointed, because we believe that you cannot have a PPRA now tasked with this massive transformation agenda having been tainted with leadership issues where we might soon not see action in terms of the implementation of the programs. We believe that there has to be a credible leadership that is bold and ethical in the sense that we've seen that all these allegations that have been put forward, they're around non-compliance with the Pension Fund Act. And I was actually behind the submission of the report to the Pension Fund Adjudicator, where 10 employees were employed in July 2019, but out of the 10, only 5 contributed to the pension fund, and the other 5 did not contribute to the pension fund, resulting in accumulated arrear contributions together with interest amounting to millions of rands that needed to be paid last year in November. So those are some of the things that we believe as NPPC that should not be associated with somebody that is tasked to lead an organization with an expanded mandate where now transformation is very critical.
No, absolutely. Thank you so much, Joseph, for your time this morning. That is Joseph Sakoneka, who is the National Property Practitioners Council head. They're joining us to speak about issues in the sector.